In this video, we are going to talk about the top best V6 cars of all time. So before starting, please like this video and subscribe to this channel for future updates. Forget the history and don't be concerned about the future. The V6 owns the present. V6 engines can now be found in large automobiles, small cars, trucks, crossovers, and vans. The V8 may be preferred among American gearheads, and 4 cylinders are more fuel efficient, but the V6 is what we drive today. For the purposes of this list, greatness is defined as supremacy in the context of the car's production era, setting standards for future automobiles, developing automotive technology, and simply being wicked cool. Every vehicle featured here fits in flawlessly by those requirements. Although this list is not confined to standard production vehicles, only 2 race cars made the cut, with the rest being mass-produced. 5 Americans, 3 French machines, surprise, 3 Italian-built machines, 3 Germans, 3 Brits, 1 Korean, 1 Irish, and 5 Japanese made the list. If you're very particular, 1 of the Americans and 2 of the British cars have Japanese engines, while the Irish car's power unit was produced in France. You can mix and combine the nationalities however you want. Number 10. 1988 McLaren MP4/4. In Formula 1, McLaren had a very trying year in 1987. So it tried a few things to improve its fortune. It began by obtaining Honda's incredibly strong RA168e 1.5-liter turbo V6. Second, the team enlisted Gordon Murray, a great British designer, and Steve Nichols, an underappreciated American engineer, and gave them free rein to develop the smallest and most advanced chassis imaginable. Finally, Ayrton Senna was engaged by McLaren to drive alongside Alain Prost. To summarize, straight from Japan comes the best F1 engine ever, with around 1,000 horsepower, in the best racing chassis ever, designed by a Brit and a Yank, and driven by the best drivers of the day, who happened to be French and Brazilian. Oh, and a New Zealander formed the McLaren team in the United Kingdom. Number 9. 1992 Jaguar XJ220. The Jaguar XJ220 was the world's fastest production automobile for a brief period of time. This sleek mid-engine wonder attained speeds of over 200 miles per hour thanks to its twin-turbocharged 3.5-liter V6 modified to produce 542 horsepower. F1 racer Martin Brundle pushed 1 to 217 miles per hour on the Nardo Ring in 1992 after removing the catalytic converters. The XJ220 is the most expensive road-going production automobile powered by a V6 ever constructed, with a list price of almost $650,000. That's probably why just 281 were ever made. Number 8. 1971 Citroen SM. In many ways, the SM is completely absurd. Its design is strange, and the interior is kooky in every manner. It was a front-drive luxury car with a complicated hydro-pneumatic suspension system that, if it needed to be repaired, could bankrupt the owner. Green rubber balls, which were part of the suspension system, were strewn about the engine area. The 2.7-liter, 170-horsepower V6 engine came from Maserati, which was owned by Citroen at the time. Despite its strangeness, the SM pioneered technology that we now take for granted. Self-leveling suspension, variable assist power steering, self-adjusting brakes, and self-leveling lighting are just some of the features available. The SM wasn't the car of the future, but it did have a number of futuristic features. Number 7. 1991 GMC Syclone and Typhoon. The Syclone, a dumpy Sonoma small regular cab truck with a turbo humming into its pushrod iron block 4.3-liter V6, fed a 4-speed automatic transmission and a full-time all-wheel drive system, was released in 1991. It went by in a flash. The 280 horsepower on tap accelerated the vehicle to 60 miles per hour in 4.5 seconds and passed the quarter mile in 13 seconds flat. The Syclone was made out of a mishmash of GM parts. The instrument panel was taken from a 1990 Pontiac Sunbird Turbo, the center console and shifter were taken from a Corvette, and the all-wheel drive system was taken from a Safari minivan. But it all came together in the end. While 3 Cyclones were made for the 1992 model year, the remaining 2992 were all 1991 versions. To construct the Typhoon in 1992, all of the Cyclone's mechanical components were fitted into Jimmy SUV body shells. Through 1993, a total of 4,697 Typhoons would be produced. GMC recovered control of rationality after that. Number 6. 1990 Nissan 300ZX Twin Turbo. The Z32 300ZX from 1990 was a visual marvel. When you look inside the engine compartment of a 300ZX Twin Turbo, you can't see down to the pavement below because it's so densely packed. Every nook and corner was crammed with the turbo and intercooler hardware that force-fed the 3.0-liter DOHC 24-valve V6. However, the end result was 300 horsepower. That was enough to propel the 3,474-pound Z-car to 60 miles per hour in 6.0 seconds and 102.5 miles per hour in 14.4 seconds across the quarter mile. That was humping in 1990. Number 5. 1969 Ferrari Dino 246 GT and GTS. The Dino isn't a Ferrari in the traditional sense. It's a dinosaur. Of course, the plan in the late 1960s was for Ferrari to create a separate line of mid-engine, 6-cylinder cars named after Enzo Ferrari's late son. Under the Ferrari moniker, V12-powered front-engine road cars would continue to be produced. Owners, on the other hand, swiftly asserted that their Dinos were Ferraris and rebadged them as such, regardless of whether Ferrari approved. The 206 GT, powered by a 2.0-liter V6 with 160 horsepower, was the first road-going Dino. The V6 was constructed on a Fiat manufacturing line and was based on the Dino racing engine. Many of the engines ended up in Fiat's own front-engine Dino coupe. Greatness wasn't realized until the following year, when the engine was increased to 2.4 liters, output increased to 175 horsepower, and the car was called the 246 GT. The Dino is an undoubtedly outstanding automobile, thanks to its extremely alluring Pininfarina body. But it is the cars that have replaced it that have left the biggest legacy. Following the Dino, the V8-powered 308 series began a streak of superb mid-engine Ferraris that led directly to today's 458 Italia. Number 4. 2009 Nissan GT-R. The current GT-R is without a doubt the most capable V6-powered performance automobile ever built. The 3.8-liter V6 engine in the 2009 model was rated at 480 horsepower and 430 lb-ft of peak torque, thanks to twin turbocharging. It blew to 60 miles per hour in 3.5 seconds and destroyed the quarter mile in 11.7 seconds at 116.8 miles per hour, thanks to a rear-mounted 6-speed automatic manual transmission and all-wheel drive. The GT-R, on the other hand, has only become faster since 2009. The 2012 GT-R now has 530 horsepower and can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in just 3.1 seconds. With a quarter-mile time of 11.1 seconds and a top speed of 124.1 miles per hour. Furthermore, it drives superbly, has so much traction that it could nearly drive on your ceiling, and will trawl through your everyday commute like a Maxima. Number 3. 1972 Lancia Stratos. The Stratos is a production road automobile by chance. It was designed to compete in rallies and win championships. It was only because of the restrictions, which stated that 500 copies had to be manufactured, that it was put into production. The Stratos utilized the same Ferrari-designed 2.4-liter V6 engine as the Ferrari Dino 246 GT. Despite its minuscule size, its wheelbase is only 85.8 inches. However, it was rated at 192 horsepower in this application, and the Stratos weighed a little over a ton. It's not a simple automobile to master, but it's one that deserves to be driven flawlessly. Number 2. 1987 Buick Grand National and GNX. Buick's black turbocharged Grand National and its limited production twin, the GNX, kept the flame alive at a time when American automotive performance seemed to be dying. 245 horsepower was achieved by combining a single turbocharger and an intercooler with Buick's standard iron block 3.8-liter V6 with sequential fuel injection. On the GNX, only 547 were produced. An even bigger turbo with ceramic blades boosted power to 276 horsepower and possibly more. In around 4.7 seconds, a good GNX could hit 60 miles per hour. In the late 1980s, these cars essentially ruled the streets of America, easily defeating 5.0 Mustangs and even Corvettes. In fact, back in the day, all of the turbo Buick men bought the same license plate frame. "I brake for Corvettes," it said. Number 1. 1991 Acura NSX. It was the first Honda vehicle to feature the VTEC variable valve timing system in the United States. Today, it's difficult to find a car without variable valve timing. It was the first all-aluminum production automobile sold in the United States. That is still cutting edge today. It was a sports automobile with such a delicate sensitivity and rapid reflexes that Ferrari went back to the drawing board and began designing better vehicles. Despite this, it was a sports car that could be driven and used on a daily basis in the same way as an Integra could. The NSX, with its mid-engine layout, set the bar for all future production cars. Every car, not just sports cars. Not to mention the fact that it was developed with the help of Ayrton Senna. An all-aluminum DOHC 3.0-liter V6 with 270 horsepower and an F1 soundtrack provided the power. It also revved up to 8,000 RPM. In 1991, there were some big numbers. Which of the above car do you love the most? Let us know in the comment box below. Please like this video and subscribe to this channel for our future updates. Thank you.